gonna need it, and I felt it. I tried to be chill, but you're so hot that I melted. I fell right through the cracks. Now I'm trying to get back. Before the cool done run out, I'll be giving it my best. It's nothing gonna stop me but divine intervention. I reckon that again my turn to win some or learn some, but I won't hesitate no more, no more. It cannot wait. I'm yours. Hey, God, that was beautiful. I love you so much. Thank you. Oh, dude, in this story I'm going to talk about, when I was a nursing assistant.
Okay.
And, you know, it's always been important for me to do something that was, you know, what I think is useful, I think. Mm-hmm. You know, I sold advertising. I had a lot of fun. I went to great parties. But I didn't find my work fulfilling. It didn't, I mean, you know, it fulfilled a use, you know, for the publishing company because they needed ad revenue. But, you know, it didn't give me the same sense of caring about and doing something that was meaningful that I got from being a nursing assistant. And like all things in my life, I met a girl at a party, and I had just gotten out of the Air Force. I was living in Sturgeon Bay with my dad. And she said, oh, you know, we're hiring. You should get a job at the nursing home. And I went, she's there, and there's a job there, you know, so look into this. I said, I don't know anything about it. And she said, well, they'll actually train you. So they did. They actually held a class at the nursing home. And Jackie, the class instructor, was this just brilliant old nurse. She had so much sass. She was very brilliant. I loved the lady. And so I went in, I got the job, and I became a nursing assistant at the Dorchester Nursing Home in Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin. And you know, what's really interesting is because I just have a high attention or a high awareness to just things going on. Mm-hmm. What was interesting is suddenly I was thrust into an environment where I got to meet people that either, you know, suffered from things their entire life or had had experiences. For example, one lady that was there had been in Germany, and I believe in an internment camp during during World War II. She didn't want any men to take care of her. You know, and then you meet someone like Astrid, whose husband worked on the ship docks, and when they were still using asbestos, right? He eventually died of asbestosis, I believe, and because she did his laundry, taking it out, she didn't get it as bad, but she struggled for every breath, every day I came in. Oh God, it does. You know, you meet some incredible people. The cabin we had when I was a kid in northern Wisconsin, it turns out that one of the women there was the former owner. I used to swim on a beach. That's where I learned to sail. You know. And suddenly I'm starting to realize that there are all these connections to the world and things going on that we don't realize. And I just started paying attention to these in really important ways because I'm high data. I'm looking for understanding what's going on. And I started to realize also that there were some people in life, no matter how successful they were, who still needed help. Mm-hmm. And so I actually got to take care of a gentleman by the name of Milford Prangy, who was part of the Prangy stores of Wisconsin. He was such a sweet guy. And then there are just some icons of Dork County. There's a shop in Sister Bay called Bill's to this day. And I got to take care of Bill in the nursing home. Bill had Bunda's. It was called Bunda's. He had a whole storefront there for years. And I got to take care of Bill. And God, he was such a character, you know? And so suddenly I get these rich experiences of meeting people and just kind of looking around at where are you at the end of your life? What has happened and who are you surrounded by? And in particular, I started to get this significant understanding of strokes and of Alzheimer's and dementia. Because, you know, if you haven't been exposed to it and then suddenly you're exposed to 10, 12, 15 cases of it and you get to see different ways that it affects people,
right.
It was really, you know, kind of profound. And then while I was living in Sturgeon Bay, the police department in Sturgeon Bay thought it would be fun to enforce as much of the war on drugs as they could. So I'd started smoking marijuana with friends, and one of my friends turned into a narc because he'd been arrested more than 2 or 3 times. So, you know, they're just trying to get somebody. Mm-hmm. And so we were doing a trip to Illinois. I was going to go see a friend and pick up some weed with him, going down for my mom's birthday. And he shows up and he says, "Hey, I got $100. A friend wants me to go find some cocaine." I'd never touched it. You know, I had no interest in it really at the time. You know, so we find cocaine and weed. We come back and I'm arrested on the way into town. Mm-hmm. And as it turns out, if you think about it, the war on drugs introduced me to cocaine in Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin.
That's
and
the
of course,
gateway.
Yeah, isn't it, right? But, you know, because this is in the courts, and it's very embarrassing to me because the war on drugs is full on. And if you get arrested for drugs in the 90s, it's, you know, it's the end of the world. And so I actually moved back to Illinois and moved to my mom's for the short term. I got a job up in Copley Hospital in Aurora, and I worked on inpatient physical rehab. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting about that is, as a nursing assistant there, I worked one level back from the nursing home. Mm-hmm. People came there and they either went home or they went to some sort of additional care services like an assisted living or a nursing home. Mm-hmm. And so I got to see that really what causes long-term care is that people have accidents. And these accidents come from different things. Some are from high stress environments their entire lives, which I think is, if you look at it, I think that's the Nectin 3. People get caught so perseverantly in a system that it eventually shuts off the vein, and then they have a stroke. That's my theory. It seems very, you know, it works with the knowledge. Anyway, and so I had this next 2 years of being a nursing assistant where I learned about rehabilitation, and I learned about occupational therapy and speech therapy and all of these different things really kind of firsthand. And it was only well after college when I got into long-term care insurance, I suddenly realized how valuable that experience was. And it isn't until even recently that I realized how important all of those connections with all of those people was. Mm-hmm. Because it gave me a really deep sense of how important it is to try and care for the people around us that are most vulnerable. And I think that's what makes my work today so meaningful. I care about all of the people in all of the units that I care for, because they represent that next step back. They're still free, they're still independent, but most of them have something that they're dealing with in their health care. And it takes people with patience and compassion and experience of what's ahead if we don't take care of ourselves today. And so being a nursing assistant was probably the best 3 years of my life. Very good. So that's our start. Thank you, guys.